Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths that is based on the advanced information given to us by the exam boards. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. There are 10 squares in total, so each square is worth 1/10. And if we count all of the shaded squares, we notice that in total there are 7 shaded squares. So that's 7 lots of 1/10 or 7/10. For this question, it's really important that we understand what the words sum and product mean. Now, sum just means add, and product just means times. So we're going to start by adding the 5 and the 4, so that will equal 9. And then what we're going to do is find the product of 9 and 7, so we're going to multiply them together. 9 times 7, which is 63. So our answer is 63. To convert between meters and centimeters, we times by 100. So we do 12.31 times by 100, which would be 1,231 centimeters. For this question, we're going to have to remember BIDMAS or BODMAS. So we're going to first of all look and see if we've got any brackets. Well, we do. We've got the 11 squared minus 21 in brackets, so we're going to be looking at that bit first. Inside the brackets, though, we don't have any brackets, but we do have an indice. We've got that 11 squared, so we're going to deal with that first. So 11 squared is 121. So we've got rid of the indice, but we're still looking at the bracket. So we're going to do 121 minus 21, which is going to be 100. Now we have no more brackets, no more divisions, but we do have a multiplication. So it's going to be 300, and that's our answer. The first thing we need to work out is the fraction that Sarah will receive. Well, if Jane receives 9 over 10, then that just leaves how much of the numerator to match the denominator. So 9 plus 1 is 10, so it leaves 1/10 left for Sarah to have. And the reason that works is that the total amount needs to add up to 1, and 9 over 10 plus 1 over 10 is 10 over 10, which is just 1. So next we need to find out what 1/10 of 60 is. So we know that we divide by the bottom and times by the top. So 60 divided by 10 is 6, and then 6 times 1 is just still 6. So our answer will be £6. So we've got 10x plus 2x. Now 10x plus 2x are like terms, so we can just add them together to make 12x. And we've got that equal to 24. Let's put in our solve lines. Now that 12 before the x is a times 12. So to get rid of it, we do the opposite, which is divide both sides by 12. And so we've got x on the left hand side and 24 divided by 12, which is 2. So our answer is x equals 2. So we're going to start off by working out what 100% of 120 is. Well, that's obviously just going to be 120. And we're trying to get to 6%. So we always start off by working out 10%. It's always normally useful. And we just divide that 120 by 10, so we get 12. And we try to get 6%, so it'd be nice if I knew 5%. And 5% is nice and easy because we just halve that 10%. So that'd be 6. And if we got the 1% as well, we can get to the 6%. So to find out what 1% is, we just divide the 10% by 10 and get 1.2. So to get the 6%, we're going to add the 5% and the 1%. So we're going to add the 6 and the 1.2. And so we just do 6 plus 1.2, which is just going to be 7.2. And that's our answer. So we're told the sequence starts at 20. So our first term will be 20. And we're told that the rule is add 5. So we're going to add 5 to that. And that'll be 25 for our second term. Add 5 again. And that'll be 30 for our third term. Looking at this line, what do you notice about all the coordinates? Any coordinate along this line, the x coordinates are going to change, but the y coordinates will always be 3. So the equation of the line is y equals 3. Just like when you're simplifying fractions, you can't have decimals at the top and bottom. You can't have decimals at the top, at the left and right of a ratio. So we're going to have to get rid of this decimal. And the way we're going to do that is just simply times each side by 10. And that will leave 4, and that will be 60. Now we can simplify this further, because I can divide left and right by 2. So that would be 2 to 30. And I can actually do the same again. I can divide them by 2 again. And that would be 1 to 15. Now you might have just divided by 4, and that would also give you the right answer. In fact, there's a couple of different methods that you can get the same answer with. I'm going to first of all work out how many parts there are in total. So we've got James with 9 parts, 6 for Andy, and 7 for Tia. So in total we've got 9 plus 6 plus 7, which is 22 parts in total. And we're asked to find a fraction Tia receives. Now Tia's the last one, so she is receiving the 7 parts. So it's 7 out of 22. So you do need to know the parts of a circle. So the full distance around the circle is called the circumference. If you've got a little bit of it, it's an arc. If you've got a line across it, that would be a chord. And the part that's kind of trapped in there is called a segment. Then if you've got a line across the circle going through the centre, that's a diameter. If you've got a line just going to the centre, if I can draw it properly, then that's called a radius. If you've got a line that touches the circle just on one point, like that, that's a tangent. But in this case, we have a sector. So to draw this straight line graph, what we're going to do is just pick 3 x coordinates, which is -2, 0, and 2. So I'm going to start off with -2. And I'm just going to substitute it into the equation we've got here. So y equals -2 times -2, because that's what we're putting in, plus 8. -2 times -2 is positive 4. So it's going to be 4 plus 8, which is going to be 12. So at -2, our graph is at 12, which will be here. Then we're going to put in x equals 0. So it's going to be y equals -2 times 0 plus 8. Anything times 0 is just 0, so it's just going to be 0 plus 8, or just 8. So it's going to be 0, 8 will be our next coordinate. And then finally we've got x equals 2. So it's going to be y equals -2 times 2 plus 8. -2 times 2 is going to be -4. And -4 plus 8, which is the same as 8 take away 4, so that's going to be 4. So at 2 it's going to be 4. So we get our ruler to be able to draw this in. We try our best to make sure it's as neat as we can, and make sure it continues on for the whole graph, so no gaps. The first thing we need to do is work out what angle CBD is. So we're looking for angle CBD, and that's going to be 180 take away 170, and the reason being is it's angles on straight line. Angles on a straight line add up to 180, so that's going to be 10 degrees, so this will be 10 degrees. We then need to find out what angle CDB is, and this is obviously going to be 10 degrees as well, because it's angles in an isosceles, so this will be 10 degrees, and the reason will be that it's an isosceles triangle. And to find out what x is going to be, it's going to be 180 subtract 10 plus 10. And the reason for that is it's angles in a triangle. add up to 180. So that's going to be 160 degrees. Make sure you state your reasons for every step of the working out, because there's normally quite a few marks for the reasons. So 3 as a percentage of 10, the first thing we can do is write that as a fraction. So 3 over 10. And then I can get the bottom to be 100 and the top will become the percentage. So I can times top number here by 10. So that becomes 30 over 100. And percent means per 100. Here we've got 30 per 100, or 30%. So the answer is 30%. The difficulty with finding the perimeter of this shape is we do have some of the lengths missing. So we're going to find the lengths that are missing first, and then we'll find the perimeter. So the one on the right here is going to be the same as the one on the left. So this is going to be 5.6. Same with the one on the left of the 2.4. So this will be 2.4 here. This length here is going to be slightly more tricky to work out. What we do is we work out the total length across, or the total width across, which is 9.8, and we take away the bits that we know. So we take away these purple lengths at the bottom. So to work out the length of the missing bit, we're going to do 9.8, and we're going to take away the 4.3 plus the 1.2. And then when we do that, we do 9.8, take away those bits, we get 4.3. So this missing bit here is 4.3. So to work out the perimeter, we're going to start at the top left of the shape and add up all the lengths as we go around the shape. So 9.8 plus 5.6 plus 1.2 plus 2.4 plus 4.3 plus 2.4 plus 4.3 plus 5.6. When you add all those up together, you get 35.6. It's a perimeter, which is a distance, so our units are centimetres. With these questions, we've just got to go around and fill in what we can, and there's going to be some numbers like this one here we can't fill in yet, so we're going to have to be strategic in the order we do it. I'm going to first of all look here, and notice that the total of girls and boys is 29, the total of the boys is 18, so take away the 18 from 29 and we get 11. Next one I'm going to fill out is this one. Notice that the total for the green is 15, total for the boys who's picked green is 12, and therefore for the girls it's going to be 3. Then looking around, what's the next thing that we can fill out? We can fill out this one, because the total for the boys is 18, green is 12, blue is 1, therefore we've got 5 left over. Then we can fill out this one, 2 plus 5 is 7. Then we can fill out this one, so 2 plus 3 is 5, then plus another 6 would be 11, and then 6 plus 1 is 7. We've got to first of all find out what the y-intercept is, and the y-intercept is just where our line hits the y-axis. So the y-intercept, which we sometimes can call C, is 11. Now, what's that 11? What units is it? Well, it's 11 pounds, because our y coordinate, our y-axis is in pounds. But what does that mean for the taxi company? Well, how many miles have been travelled on the y-axis? Well, 0. So at 0 miles, we've had to pay the taxi man or woman £11. So we know that therefore the taxi costs £11 at the start. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so the initial charge, or the cost for the taxi turning up, is £11. We've got to first of all identify whose graph is whose. So looking at the green one hits the y-axis at 6, and it says here that Taxico charges an initial £6 fee, which would tally that up, and AB taxi says that its initial charge is 12, which is on our graph there. So AB taxi is blue and Taxico is green. Now it says which is the cheapest to travel 20 miles. So what we're going to do is go to 20 and draw a line up from 20. You can see that the blue line is actually lower than the green line. Okay, it's cheaper. So the blue line is cheaper, and the blue line is owned by AB Taxi. So we know that the mean is the sum of numbers over the amount. But in this question, we're actually given what the mean is. We're given that that is 29. We're also given the fact that there are 4 cards, so we're given the amount. So what we can do is just get our lines in and solve this. So what we're going to do is just times both sides by 4. So we're going to do 29 times 4, which is 116. And so we know that the sum of the numbers will be 116. So all we need to do is to find the 4th card, is get that 116 and just take away the numbers that we know. And when we do that, we get the answer 26. Now you can easily check this by adding up 37, 26, 27 and 26 again, and then dividing it by 4, and you will get 29. All probabilities have to add up to 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away these probabilities away from 1. So I'm going to do 1 take away 0.09 plus 0.13 plus 0.18. And so that's going to be 0.4. 1 take away 0.4 is 0.6. First thing we need to do is work out the area of the wall. And so to do that, we're just going to multiply the 44 by the 40. So 44 times 40 is 1,760. And next thing we notice is that each tin covers 10 meters squared. So it actually means we can work out the fact that there are 1,760 meters squared in total for our wall. And if each tin covers 10 meters squared, then we will need 176 tins. That's the amount of tins we need. And each tin costs £5.70, so it'd be 176 times the 5.7, or £5.70, or you could do it as 570 pence and convert it at the end. And that gives us a price of 1003.2. And so as money, that would be £1,003.20. So BidMaths tells us we need to do the indices first, and then we do the adding. So we go to the indices. 12 squared means 12 times 12, and that would be 144. 6 squared means 6 times 6, which is 36. So we're going to do 144, the 12 squared, plus the 6 squared, so plus the 36. And that will be 180. We're going to start off by writing the numbers that the dots are at. So we've got minus 12 and we've got minus 5, and x is anywhere between those. Now it's obviously going to be greater than minus 12 and it's going to be less than minus 5, but it can equal minus 12, and the reason for that is it's a filled in dot, but it can't equal minus 5 because that is a hollow dot. It's really important when answering this question that we're really methodical. So we're going to start off just looking at steak, and I'm going to start off with the S, and we're going to pair it with the first dessert, which is the I. Then we're going to pair the steak with the second dessert, which is the mousse. Then we're going to pair it with the third dessert, which is the fruit. So we're being really methodical. We've done all of the combinations with steak. And so we're going to look at burger next. And we're going to pair it with the first ice cream, then burger, and we're going to pair it with the mousse. And then finally the burger we're going to pair with the fruit. As long as we do things methodically, we don't ever miss any. When we estimate, we normally round to one significant figure. So what I'm going to do is just rewrite this question, but rounding everything to one significant figure. But I'm just going to miss out this square root for now. So 3.3 would just be 3, and 4.7 would just be 5. Now, the problem with this 27 is square rooting 27 is difficult, especially without a calculator, and estimating should be done without a calculator. But if I round it to the nearest significant figure, if I round it to one significant figure, that will make it 30. Now 30 is no easier to work out. So square numbers are a bit of an exception. When you've got square root, it's a bit of an exception. You've got to find it to the nearest square number. So 27 to the nearest square number is 25. So square root of 25 is 5. And then 5 take away 3 is 2, times 5 is going to be 10. So our answer is 10. The first thing to notice is that the tree must be closer to CD than AB. So if we draw a line across the middle, it can't be in the top bit because that would be closer to line AB. The second piece of information that is given to us is it must be at least 11 meters away from point C. So we get our compass out and measure 11 centimeters, or whatever the scale we're using in this diagram is, and we draw a quarter circle from C. And it says shade the region that it can be planted. So this is the region that represents closer to line CD than AB, but also not within 11 meters of point C. To work out the mass, we will need to find the density and the volume. Density is given to us in the question, but volume isn't, so we need to work out what the volume of this cuboid is. So the volume is just the 33 times the 7 times the 22. So that would be 5,082, and that would be centimeters cubed. And we need to write down the formula for density. So density is the mass divided by the volume. So rearrange this to get mass on its own, because that's the thing we're looking for. So mass equals density times volume. Density is given to us in the question as 2.1 grams per centimeters cubed. Times that by the 5,082 for the volume, and we get the answer of 10,672. And then that will give us grams, because our density is in grams, so that is grams, but the answer is asking for kilograms. So to convert that to kilograms, we just divide by 1,000 and we get 10.672. Then we need to round that to 2 decimal places, and so that would be 10.67 kilograms. So the symbol here basically means and the way I remember it is if you draw that symbol and just put a line through it, you can make the word and. So we're looking at the probability of getting something that is in A and C. So the only ones that are in A and C are this 8 and this 9 here. So we're going to just add the 8 and the 9 together, which give us 17. Now we need to then work out how many numbers there are in total, so that's all of them. So 4 plus 8 plus 9 plus 5 plus 8 plus 3 plus 11 plus 6. So we need the total, which is 54. And then we get the 17, and we put that over the amount in total, so over 54. So for this question we need to understand the different types of graphs from different functions. So if we have a reciprocal graph, it looks something like this and like this. It could be the other way around and it could be distorted, but it basically goes down to a point along here. It goes to infinity and it goes to infinity along a point over here, and obviously those positions could change. Then we've got a linear graph. A linear graph is just any straight line, so just any kind of straight line, either up or down, and this doesn't look like either of those. Then we've got a exponential graph. An exponential graph just starts really small and then just really increases like that and just keeps going up. And here we kind of have that, obviously the other way around, it starts going down, but here it's actually going up, so it can't be a reciprocal graph. So the graph that this is, or could be, is a quadratic graph, because it's a nice U shape. So if we carry this on, it could be a nice U shape. It could also be a cubic graph as well. So it could go up and then down and then up, and that's a cubic graph. But the most obvious one is a quadratic graph. So quadratic function. So angles on a point add up to 360, and we are given the values of the angles, but in terms of r. So we know that r plus 9r plus 20 will equal 360. So we've got an equation here we can solve. So first of all, let's add the r's together, and so that will be 10r plus 20 equals 360. Then we're going to subtract the 20 from both sides. So we have 10r equals 340, and then we're going to divide by 10 both sides. So we have r equals 34. So our answer is 34. On a scatter graph, an outlier is a point which doesn't fit the pattern. And as we can see here, all of these coordinates fit kind of a nice line going down there. So they all are showing a trend. But we've got this point here that's nowhere near that trend at all. And that's what we call an outlier. So we know that these are going up in twos, so this will be 28, so the x-coordinate will be 28, and this will be 19. So our coordinate will be 28, 19 for our outlier. So this question is asking us really to divide the 5 3/4 by 1 3/4. So we're going to do 5 3/4 divided by 1 3/4, because we're finding out how many of each of these towels, which is 1 3/4 meter, can be made when the total amount of cotton is 5 3/4. So first thing we're going to do is convert them to mixed numbers, to top-heavy or improper fractions, because at the moment they're mixed numbers and we can't divide or times if they're mixed. So we times the 5 by the 4 and add it to the top, which will be 20, and then add it to the top 23. And then do the same. 1 times 4 is 4, plus it to the top is 7 over 4. Now a little trick here is KFC. We keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change the divide sign to a time sign. So we're going to keep this first fraction as it is, change that divide to a times, and flip the second fraction. Okay, whenever we multiply, we just multiply the tops, so 23 times 4, which is 92, and we times the bottoms, which will be 28. And now we need to convert this back into a mixed number. So first of all, actually we can simplify this, because we can divide top and bottom by 4, so that would be 23 over 7. And then make this a mixed number. So 7's into 23 go 3 whole ones, and then obviously 2 remainders, so it's 2 over 7. Now it asks us for the amount of towels that she can sew patterns into. Now the issue here is that she will do 3 whole towels, but then have some left over, but she doesn't have enough to create a 4th towel, so it's just going to be 3 as an answer. Now between A and B, the shapes haven't changed size, so it's not an enlargement. They haven't rotated or they haven't mirrored, they've just moved. And the word we use for that is translation. So this has been a translation. And for a translation, we need to find out how far right they've gone and how far up they've gone. So we pick a point that we know on both shapes, and I'm going to pick the top left. And we count how many jumps we jump to the right. So 1, 2, 3. So we do 3 jumps to line it up with the other one. So there's a 3 at the top to say 3 to the right. And then we count how far up we have to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we've actually had to go down, and whenever you go down, it's like having minus up. Okay, down is minus up, so it's going to be minus 4 because there were 4 jumps. Integer just means whole number, so we're looking for all the whole numbers that satisfy these two inequalities. Well, the first inequality says that it has to be greater than 3. So the smallest number that is greater than 3 is 4. The second inequality says it has to be less than or equal to 8. So I'm just going to keep going until I get to a number that is less than or equal to 8. It can't be 9 because 9 is not less than or equal to 8. So our answer is 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So we're looking to write a formula for the cost in pounds of hiring a microwave for X amount of days. So the cost is C, so it's going to be C equals, and it says it's going to be 55 pence a day. Now it wants the answer in pounds, so we need to convert this 55 pence into pounds. So that's going to be 0.55, and it's going to be 0.55 times the amount of days. Well, it says the amount of days is X, so it's going to be 0.55x. Then it says that there's just a one-off cost of £15. So you're going to have to pay £15 regardless. So we're just going to add 15 onto that. So the answer would be C equals 0.55x plus 15. So in this question, we basically need to add the 2 3/4 and the 2 2/5. So we're going to do 2 3/4 plus 2 2/5. Now, if I just rewrite this, 2 3/4 can be written as 2 plus 3/4 plus 2 plus 2 1/5, or 2/5. So we can add the two 2's together to make 4. And then all we need to do is add the 3/4 and the 2/5. So when you add two numbers with different denominators, what we need to do is get the common denominators. And we do that by just quickly writing out the 4 and the 5 times table and seeing what the first number in both their times tables is. 16, 20, and 5, 10, 15, 20. So that's 20. So we need to get the bottoms of the fractions to 20. Now for 3/4, to get the bottom to equal 20, we need to times the 4 by 5. And whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top, so times that by 5 as well, which will be 15. And for 2/5, we'll get that bottom to 20, so we times that by 4. And so we've got to times the top by 4 as well to make it 8. So it's going to be 15 over 20 plus 8 over 20. So we need to add the numerators. So it would be 15 plus 8, which is going to be 23 over 20. Now that is a top-heavy fraction, so we can rewrite that as 1 and 3/20. And we can add the 4 and the 1 together to make 5 and 3/20. So the answer is 5 and 3/20. We're going to start by looking at the numerator and the denominator separately. So looking at the numerator first, we've got 9 to the power 16 times 9 to the power 46. Now, when you have two powers of the same base, so they're both 9, base 9, but base is the big number, then what you can do is you can add the indices. So we're going to do 16 plus 46, which is 62. So it's 9 to the power of 62. And looking at the denominator, well, you've got a power inside and outside the bracket. Whenever you have that, you can just multiply them. So it'd be 9 to the power of 40. Now, whenever you've got a division between two powers of the same base, which we have here, it's 9 to the power of 62 divided by 9 to the power of 40, we just take away the indices. So it'd be 62, take away 40, which will be 9 to the power of 22. So our answer is 9 to the power of 22. So we've got to first of all understand what standard form is, and standard form is a number that is between 1 and 10, but not including 10, times 10 to the power of another number. So to find out what the number's going to be for our standard form, we're going to just write down the decimal first, so 0.098. And we've got to put a decimal point in somewhere to make this a number between 1 and 10. So if I put it in here, that would make it 9.8, and we're ignoring the zeros to the left-hand side. So we know that our standard form is going to start off with 9.8 times 10 to the power of something. Now this times 10 is always going to be there. It's never divided by 10 or anything like that. It's always times 10. Next, we've got to find out what the power is going to be. So first of all, if it's a small number, if it's a number less than 1, which this is, it's a small number, it's going to be a negative power. And the next thing we do is work out how many jumps we have to do. So it would be 1, 2 jumps between where the decimal point was and where it is now. So 2 jumps means it's going to be to the power of -2. When we multiply numbers, it doesn't actually matter which order we multiply them. So I can actually rewrite this as 7 times 9 times 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 9. 7 times 9 is 63. And 10 to the power of 2 times 10 to the power of 9, we add the powers, so it'd be 10 to the power of 11. Now here we've got a problem. It looks like standard form, but it is not standard form. Because standard form has to be a number between 1 and 10, but not including 10. And here we've got 63. So what I'm going to do is just quickly write out what number this is. So we've got the decimal point here. And you don't need to do this, but I find it a bit easier to show what we're doing. So here we've got 10 to the power of 11. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We fill these all out with zeros, and that's the number we've created here. A lot of zeros. Now, to make it a number between 1 and 10, not including 10, the decimal point, it needs to be here. So we want that to end up with 6.3 times 10 to the power of, well, let's work that out now. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be 10 to the power of 12. Now you don't need to do all the working out I've just shown there. You just need to know when you convert that 63 into a 6.3, you need to add 1 to the power. When solving simultaneous equations graphically, if you draw the lines to both graphs, which we have done here, the solutions, or solution, because they're both linear, will just be where the two graphs cross. So this here will be our solution. So x is 2 and y is -4. First thing I'm going to do is add these column vectors. So we're going to add the tops first, and then we're going to add the bottoms. So it's plus -14. And so at the top it would be -4, and 11 take away 14 is -3. Then I'm going to pick a point on my shape, and the the top one tells us how far right we're going. So we know we're going 4 to the left because it's obviously a negative. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The bottom one tells us how far up we're going. Well, it's going to be down because it's a -3. So 1, 2, 3. And we can do that for each of the other points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And when we've done that, we can join them all up with straight lines. And label the new shape B. First thing we notice is that there is a square here, so we can work out what this length is going to be. It's also going to be 40 centimeters. And whenever we're working out the area of a shaded area, we're normally working out the area of two shapes and subtracting one from the other. And this question's really no different. So we're going to start off working out the area of the square. And all we need to do now for that is 40 times 40, which will be 1,600 centimeters squared. I normally only put units in our answer. The next thing we're going to do is work out the area of the circle, but to do that we need to work out what the diameter of the circle is, and if you notice that the diameter of the circle is just 40 degrees. It's the same as the width of the square, or height of the square. So if the diameter is 40 degrees, the radius would be 20 degrees. So for the circle, for the area of the circle, we're going to do pi times the radius, which is 20 squared, and 20 squared would be 400, so this will be 400 pi. This question's asking us to leave it in terms of pi, so we're going to do that. Now next we're going to work out the all of the corners, so that includes these three here and this one. So I'll say, like, I don't know, 4 corners. Just try and explain to the person marking my exam what I'm doing. And to do that, we're just going to do the square, take away the circle. So 1,600 take away 400 pi. Now we can't actually do anything more than that. That is our answer. So it's just, we just leave it at that. And to work out just the shaded bit, which is this bit here, they are 4 equal amounts that we've got for these corners. So just one corner, which is the shaded bit, will be the 4 corners divided by 4. Now we've got a kind of fraction here. We can divide all of the terms by 4. So that will leave 1 at the bottom, 100 pi here, and this will be 1,600 divided by 4 is 400. So we're just cancelling the fraction, and actually we leave it as 400 minus 100 pi, and that indeed is our answer. You can't simplify that any further. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.